Dude, how the heck you doing? This is Corey here with Watcher of Realms. We're back with another one. This is VOD review. Yeah, let's just go ahead and get straight to it. So I haven't done one of these in a little bit because we've been kind of taking it a little bit seriously for this Gladiator Gauntlet. So we went ahead and beat Dragon Slayers 2. Yeah, it was definitely a fun one. It was a little bit difficult in some ways, right? I got absolutely pooped on. It happens, right? But this time I did decent. So this is the round of top 16. We're going on to the top 8 shortly after this because it looks like we're going to go ahead and win. So that's nice. So let's get straight to it. If we're going to go through our personal record here, we have 4 wins, which is kind of nice. I wish I could have done that against Dragon Slayers, right? But it happens. So this is going to be a chaotic team with Pharisee, which is always an interesting team composition, especially whenever I see a Cade, one of the few ancient heroes that I actually dusted because he was not good in the past. And he's still not like super relevant nowadays, but he definitely has his uses. So with this team, we have a Pharisee. So one of the things that is concerning is that inspiration boost that will go ahead and happen whenever Pharisee does go ahead and do her ult or his ultimate. So what I do is I do a typical tank swarm. Now there are multiple ways to go ahead and swarm these types of teams. I am just personally biased and I really like doing a tank swarm. So what I go ahead and do is I go ahead and set it up with the Fool and with the actual Fallen Templar, and then we go ahead and drop the second Fool shortly, not second Fool, the second Templar shortly after here, which we go ahead and get set up. And interestingly enough, right, the Sargak, he must be A3 or something, because him and the Valdron basically insta-pop my tank, which is automatically a bad sign for me. So this tank is pretty much gone, but we have a really good fortunate timing here that the Fool actually swaps targets over to the second tank relatively one tile away from the Sargak range, and so we're able to at least salvage this a little bit. Now the thing that we go ahead and start proccing here is these double healers are going to keep our tank alive long enough so that Sargak never really gets him to that 50% HP mark where Sargak starts to really do a significant amount of damage. The next thing is we drop the double Necros right about now, and our healers should start to kind of do some work here and replenish our tank's HP. Now, even though Valdron is going ahead and ulting, I'm not really too terrified as to what's to come because we have the Necros that are starting to build up here, and Cade is the biggest catalyst as to whether we go ahead and win this or lose this, right? So once these units connect, bam, Cade should go ahead and ult, and he gets the Stormbird. So the annoying thing about this is watch, he's going to go ahead and constantly knock up these units here, so he gets some really good CC and some decent damage. So we're kind of banking on two things, right? We're banking on our healer going ahead and giving enough sustain so they don't die, which it is a little bit close, right? It is pretty close overall, but our dogs are able to kind of start pushing through here despite getting knocked up, and they are able to just kind of filter through here pretty much at the last second. So it's a little bit of a fortunate run overall, but we were able to go ahead and get the job done really just because the dogs did just what we needed to go ahead and get that win. Now the second thing here is we go ahead and have another attack, which is against, let's see here. It is a Nightmare team. So this is an Abomination team, which is going to typically be like anti-swarm whenever you first see these teams. That's pretty much what they're going for. But we're able to kind of go ahead and mitigate that decently enough because, truth be told, whenever you see these teams, if you have enough BP, you're able to kind of cross them. Now, once again, right, there's multiple ways to go ahead and do a swarm attempt. I'm not going to go into all the ways just because we still have a couple Gladiator Gauntlet matches left, but there's multiple ways, right? So we go ahead, we proc the Ajax. Fortunately, these are level 7 tanks, so they do get some magic resist, which is actually a huge factor into as to why this team works decently well against the Ajax specifically. When it comes to Ymir, it still works. It's just a little bit trickier because Ymir does also provide some CC as well with that Winter's Bite. But our tank is going ahead and keeping these units at bay alongside the Fool. Now that we have the double healers here, we should be pretty much fully sustained up because there's no chance that our Fool goes ahead and dies with 2 healers right on top of him. There's just no way. He's basically always going to go ahead and give out those shields, which is perfect for us because now we get the 10 cost to drop the Necros here. And here's the most important timing, right? Now that Abomination has gone ahead and hit his second ult, he is always going to be in his ulted state. So our swarms are going to be at a little bit of a disadvantage because he's going to constantly pump out the damage. So once again, we are really relying on our healers here. And look at it, it's surviving by like the sliver of health long enough just to go ahead and give our tanks enough HP so they're pretty much topped off. And Hatsa's going to go ahead and ult now, right about now, any second. There we go. So we hit the 10 costs and we are going to stagger the dogs because what we need to do is just push the units as much as we can because we're working with a really tight window here with Ajax ult. So if we're able to go ahead and get the first dogs to push through and take up all the block, we should get the seconds to just push through right about there. And that's how we go and secure the win. It's just a very, very finite timing between that Ajax ult and that Hatsa ult where we get the clearance to go ahead and do what we're trying to go ahead and do. And then the next team, I believe, is another Nightmare comp because I was kind of like on Nightmare duty, at least for this round. Let's go ahead and see what it looks like here. It is another Nightmare Abomination team. Now, this is with Arrogance, so it's a little bit of a different setup, but we go ahead and do pretty much what we would do against the Yimmer team somewhat, right? Yimmer's a little bit different, but relatively same in thought. So we go ahead and we drop a flyer here. Now the whole purpose of the flyer is truthfully to go ahead and bait out the Hatsa ult, and then also just to start putting some pressure on Torador in specific. We drop the healer to go ahead and give ourselves some initial sustain just so that this second flyer doesn't die, because we already know the first flyer will die. But if we can go ahead and get the second flyer just enough HP whenever we can, just so it can traverse this part of the map and start zapping the Lily, which we go and proc the ultimate, and then bam, and then Hatsa is next. Boom. At this point, there's no more sustain left, and thankfully this tile is within mage range. So boom. Abomination gets hit. And then these mages are going to go hit a second time, which should go ahead and proc Torador's passive here. Bam. Actually, there we go. There we go. And at this point, it's a pretty simple run through here. We have the flyers. I get to go ahead and do whatever I really want, so I drop dogs. If I had the ability, I would have probably dropped the second flyers just for stop points, right? But at that point, we go ahead and get this W, which is amazing. And then we have one final team here, which is another Nightmare team, I'm pretty sure. Now, this one is a little bit tricky. I don't know what happened. I swear to God, I got the worst RNG humanly possible against this team. I don't know what happened. I just don't. But what happens is Wukong, I'll just give you like a spoiler. Wukong decides to go ahead and be an absolute raid boss and basically one-shot my tank. I really think what happened is he got like all Torador procs on his ultimate. It has to be something like that because he just goes ahead and boom, right? Nothing crazy. And then watch this, right? Our tank is already getting chunked out, surprisingly. And then the second that Wukong goes ahead and ults again, this tank evaporates. It's also possible that the tank doesn't get the full shield. Wait. That's exactly what happens. The fool got stunned, and so he never went ahead and put the shield on the tank. That's those little interactions, I swear to God, those little interactions do it. But we have the healers that are set up here, right? So the whole point is we need these healers to go ahead and give our tank at least some sustain, like something, because Wukong is about to go ahead and ult again, and if he ults again, there's a really good chance that he just goes ahead and knocks out our tank. And that's pretty much what happens, right? The tank is pretty much down and out for the count, and then we also have our healers that are also in the danger zone, so this is really just the worst case scenario possible is happening. Just, it is horrible. Everything that could go wrong went wrong. We have no tank, no healers. So what do? We just believe. We just have faith in these two little necros right here. And what they do is amazing. They go ahead, they start spawning up the skeletons. Wukong targets the skeletons. Hatsa, oh, baited. Fantastic. Ajax is kind of like waiting. He's just kind of chilling right now. We go ahead and we panic. We drop the dogs. We unleash the hounds. If you play Call of Duty Zombies, you know what I'm talking about. It's round 5. We go ahead. The dogs are running through, right? And look at this. They go ahead. They eat the ult, right? They eat it. Wukong ults the skeletons. And look at this. They don't care. They're burning to death. But they wanted me to get the win. Shout out the dogs. Anyways, those are the attacks. What can I say, right? The dogs at the end, they wanted me to win today, so I'll take it. Anyways, see ya.